Hey everyone, this is RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14, Episode 1, Big Opening Number 1. And I'm doing this video for the 5 of you that watch and comment with me. I'm doing it for just you guys. But mostly, and this is why I started doing it, is because I want a place to talk about this. And Twitter's insane. I'm not going to join a Reddit, anything like that. So we are doing a split premiere, which I have such mixed feelings about. Because on one hand, it feels so unfair to have a top 7 and, you know, they're cutting for little things. But on the other hand, I do enjoy, really do enjoy getting a chance to really learn who they are, especially because so many of them look so different in and out of drag that I got, like Bosco and Orion, in and out of drag I got confused. So, especially because I feel like they had such 3 wildly different outfits. A lot of them, their entrance look, their performance, and their final runway were miles apart, and so I got a little disconnected. But anyway, this is really exciting, so I'm happy with the split premiere. They've done it for years, you know, not every episode, but I do like it, and I feel like if we had the 14, it would still be episode 3 before I really knew who anyone was. So I do like this. So our 7 this time are Alyssa, Hunter, Bosco, Cornbread, Willow Pillow, Carrie Colby, June Jambalaya, and Orion. Story, I think. I can't read my own writing. So anyway, we have Alyssa from Puerto Rico, pageant, super beautiful in drag, super handsome out of drag, definitely a standout. Bosco is alternative Seattle, love my Seattle queens. Ben de la Creme has always been one of my favorites. I rooted for Jinx a ton, and haven't seen as much of Jinx since, but whenever I do, oh, she's so fun. And Jinx and Dayla together are so fun. So that is, and as Bosco pointed out, like that's really tough because there's not been that many queens from Seattle on the show, and some of the biggest standouts have been from Seattle, at least in the campy comedy queen genre that I personally really enjoy. Kind of alternative, we have Cornbread, who is black and from LA. We had Willow, who has a cute little pug nose and did like a dead-on 2005. I remember I dressed like that. I have pictures of me dressed like that in 2005. I had those high platform flip-flops. I'm going to get back to Willow in just a minute, but I'll keep going through. We had Carrie Colby, who is from LA, transgender, and I believe someone said Cornbread was as well. But I missed it. But I saw on Twitter, so I apologize if I get that wrong. Tasha Colby is Carrie's mom, another beautiful queen. June Jambalaya was my least favorite of the entrance looks. Loved the promo looks, and so I was kind of surprised. Loved the rest of the looks. Wasn't crazy about the shape on the, and then Orion, weirdo Michigan campy. Okay, so they get into a freaky photo shoot. They get on one of those wheels that you normally see at like a carnival where people throw knives. One of those, Carrie Colby wins. I feel like it was a blur. I feel like they barely showed us the pictures, and all of the pictures, I don't think the pictures came out as well as they hoped they would, and so they were like, oh, just keep going, because they were all kind of frenetic and stuff was falling off. And anyway, so we have Lizzo as our guest. She visits the workroom. It's always really weird because, not always, but because we're still in COVID, she's like a million miles away, and she's like, hello from the staircase. You know, because I have to keep, you know, COVID protocols. But I'm getting so used to it that it doesn't seem as odd as it would have. But it's like, no one's going to be carrying her around today. Some of the early seasons where they were crying and hugging and stuff. They're not doing that. She is such a great judge, by the way. I enjoy her so much, and she's so beautiful. So we're going to have a talent show. So my first thought was, oh, everyone's going to be, you know, singing an original song, because that's what we always see for the All-Stars talent show. Not the case. Kind of missed it. So for this talent show, I'm going to just say, if you did anything, you made it into the middle or the upper half. June Jambalaya did a great dance with the headband. This hadn't been, I wondered if she practiced in full drag very many times because the headband kept slipping down. So it was like a big show of like, is she going to get it out of her face or whatever. But it was very interesting, very unique. Bosco was in a bustier, did a striptease. I am not a fan of so she had a bustier on and it just sat off the body. And you could see that it sat off the body. And for me, visually, that bothers me. I understood when she got to the end, like, oh, she couldn't have any padding because she was going to really strip naked. But that always bothers me. I mention that all the time. I have such a problem with, like, when they have just boy body with, like, little pasties on. To me, it just always looks like boy body with pasties. But then that's such a popular thing. I've been saying that since the drag queens. I can't remember. I want to say Valentina, but that's not who I'm thinking of. Anyway, you probably know him. I know, it just shows that I'm outdated when it comes to drag, but like Trixie says the same thing, so I'm gonna just go with that. Anyway, great, interesting performance. Alyssa Hare comes out, does metal, just basically lip syncs. Like, doesn't even really lip sync. The thing that bothered me was it had like this leather thing, but there was nothing in the bottom, so it was like if you had put a leather bustier over like a Barbie doll, because there was no panty over the pantyhose. It was just like slick nude, and so it kind of looked to me like Barbie body. Carrie, I have the exact same thing written down. I would show you, but one, you can't read my writing, and two, I don't think you'll believe me, which is that I said the exact same thing about like, why did she take so long to get to the jump rope? I wonder if maybe she couldn't do anything longer because of stamina. It was a shame that it looked really super cool and she got tangled in the very last trick. That was a shame, but otherwise it was super interesting. Like, I want to see baton tossing, I want to see flags, I want to see traditional like African dancing. I want to see things that are like things like you could actually, as opposed to like just lip syncing. So this is the point when I went, oh, the bar is much lower than it is in All Stars, which is so obvious. But you know, you don't go into it like, I don't always go into it remembering that is that different. Orion did the aerobics thing. It was super interesting, but what I wanted was the aerobics challenge from season, I don't know, 4 or 5, where they came out and they were like doing, like, that's what I wanted. And what we got was a lot of setup, and I kept waiting for something to happen. And then then it was like one move, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, and then when I found out that this was all improv, I was like, oh, that was a poor choice, unless you were going to somehow show it was improv. Like, can we get someone from the audience to name a vegetable? Like that. And I felt bad because I really liked Orion, but, you know. Anyway, Cornbread singing to her own song. By the time this came on, my first thought was, if this was All Stars, I'd be like, oh, not another one of these. And by the time Cornbread came out, I was like, oh my gosh, love it, I love it, because it was like, you know, the difference. I thought it was great. Michelle said she had a problem hearing it, and I have a really bad time hearing it, but I didn't have a hard time hearing it, but I also always have subtitles on, so maybe that was a problem. The outfit was amazing. The little props with like the bag and the Merle Ginsburg on it. I don't know if I didn't catch that, but I saw on Twitter. So cute, fun performance. Like, that was something I could watch. And then Willow had hers, which was just weird. It was performance art. Not super my thing, performance art in general, but I liked it, and I liked that people were laughing. So the thing that bothered me when Willow came in, they kind of like started picking on her. I'm like, oh, not another one of these, not another one of the Aidens and stuff. And then they laughed, and they were like, hey, I get it now. And I was like, oh, okay, good. Okay, good. We've righted this. This is not going to be a thing. This is not going to be a 6-episode arc of everyone picking on her. Well, thank goodness. That's really nice. You know, for me, that was done. Like, that whole, like, oh, no, they're going to be mean to her. Oh, no, okay. Everyone was just nervous and kind of whatever, and now they're all getting to know each other. It's fine. Then we have our signature showstopper drag. We have June Jambalaya come out with a beautiful, kind of bejeweled jumpsuit. Bosco has sort of the devil was my thing. Black sequins with boob horns, or horn boobs. I haven't decided which way to say it. Alyssa Hunter is like a peach My Fair Lady pageant. So a lot of variation. then Carrie Colby has that fur coat with the big lions, and then undoes it. And I said influencer K dress. That just struck me as very like influencer. I did all these K's all over. Orion, it was hard to describe. I loved the makeup. The makeup was like super, super, it reminds me of some of the girls that I see come out of Japan, like where they do like I think it's Japan, where they do like the makeup almost like a dough, like the little, it was so adorable. And then she lifts up this, it was very like 50s alien, but not like actual 50s, but like retro 50s. Like if someone did a movie set in the 50s with a really 50s look, but alien, because she lifts up her thing and she's got 3 boobs. One of the boobs was slipping out the side. You could see the edge of the breastplate. And I was like, oh, you ruins the illusion. But the rest of it was adorable. Cornbread, I agreed with. Super cute hair down, super cute. Face is cute too. I'm not crazy about that. I mean, I know that there are women who are bald, but it did feel very much like it made her head look really small. Her body was perfection. I just wanted to see when even if it was like a short little cut but like was raised off, just to give some more dimension to the head. I agreed with Michelle's critique of that. I would have loved to see the big, maybe upswept hair or something. I just thought it was beautiful. It was so cute it was so close to being unbelievable, but it was cute. And then Willow did, I said it was like Jay from Project Runway. That is a throwback reference, but if you ever saw the first season of Project Runway, Jay, who won, had everybody wear really cool headphones. And once I saw that, I know that's like such a dumb reference, but anyway, and with blue and then neon green, which of course Michelle was like, oh, barf. She hates green. She hates green. But it's kind of like, we don't get to just get rid of people because you hate the color. Okay. So I'm going to say something about Michelle. So I watched a lot of Trixie, and they asked Trixie about, she did the judging for the new, I guess it's over now, but for the drag queen singing contest. And she said Michelle gave her advice, which is that the judge's job is to give feedback to help people win the competition, because they don't get to see what the viewers are saying. They don't get to see what the judging panel is saying when they judge. They don't get feedback from Twitter. They don't get feedback from fans or friends, and your competitors are not really good. The judge's job is to give people feedback to help them win, so they know what they need to do to win. And so that made so much sense to me that I was like, oh, it's not being mean. It's pointing out things that are going to keep them from losing, from getting kicked out. And so, anyway, it's interesting. I heard that, and this is the first time I've seen Michelle judge. And so now I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense that she's always giving so much critique. This is valuable stuff. Like when she said you can see your panty line, you can see him sticking out through the tights. That is the kind of thing that in a couple weeks will be the difference between winning and losing when everyone is getting better. So anyway, head and eyes. Man, I have some really weird comments on here, this last bit. Okay, so the feedback they gave him, I said June, I said head and eyes, little details. Oh, if you're did talk about the little details needing to be fixed, which is why I bring up Michelle. Bosco had the striptease. They liked it like a kind of a funny Marilyn Monroe. They gave Alyssa Hunter a critique, which is that they didn't know who she was because they weren't getting it. The talent shows was to kind of show who she was, and she said she specifically picked something really different. I think it's to show versatility, but I think it was a little too different. Plus, it wasn't, like they said, like she wasn't playing guitar. She was pretending to play guitar. She was lip syncing. So there wasn't a lot in there. I feel like lip syncing doesn't get a count as a talent unless it's your own song, because, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they all do that? They had the same feedback about Carrie, but should have been sooner to jump. But Orion character just needs to be workshop. Cornbread, they said it was funny. Michelle didn't quite get it. She got a lot of gruff for that, but I have to watch it again, and I'm not going to right now. Willow, this is where I kind of got a little lost. So I said at the beginning, it's like they were being mean to Willow, I guess down here, and then they were like, "Oh, we get it." Well, then RuPaul was like, "This is they were praising it so. I thought it was fine. It was good. It definitely deserved to be, in my opinion, in the middle, because it was actually something that had movement to it and something was happening. But I mean, I don't understand performance art, so maybe someone who does would be like, oh, this is amazing. But she went on and on and on about how much she loved it, how amazing it was, that I was a little bit like, is she gonna win? Like, I like Willow a lot, but I don't know that she deserved to win, so I was really confused. So when they put Bosco and Will safe, I was like, okay, I don't know if that was just about making it really clear that no one was going to be picking on her, or whether RuPaul's just really into that, and maybe RuPaul did mention seeing all of the audition tapes, so maybe she gets Willow more than I do, and when I, you know, because then she's like, I take all the darkness inside of me and turn it into art, and I was like, I didn't quite, other than like throwing the toaster into the bathtub, I didn't really get darkness from it, so I don't know. So like I'm saying, I might not get it. Liked Willow quite a bit. Let me make that really super clear. Really liked Willow. I think middle was totally appropriate. Was a little confused on the way to getting there. Anyway, Cornbread was the winner. Totally deserved. You know, I'm totally fine with that. Carrie was safe, which is probably just below her. Totally fine. I also felt like Carrie was a really strong one. So far, I'm 100% there. June, Alyssa, and Orion are on the bottom. I would have put Alyssa on the bottom. I felt like Alyssa was, I know this sounds really bad, but it almost felt like it was too pretty to go home. So June and Orion lip sync battle. And then I was like, excuse me, I was like super bummed because I was like, oh, now I really don't want anyone to go. I personally felt like Orion did a little bit more. I felt like June was in her space a lot, like came over to stand in front of her a lot. Like not in a, like I'm walking back and forth and I happen to be, but it felt like she was up on her a lot, which, you know, and then also I felt like June did a lot of the pointing, like a lot of the like emotional one spot and pointing and that, whereas I felt like Orion did some dance moves, moved around in the stage more, did that fun little death drop, or not death drop, splits, jump into the splits. I personally felt like Orion was a little bit better, but not so much. That's just my personal thing. I've always said I'm not particularly great at judging lip syncs, but not so much that I'm like, she was robbed. I don't think so either. And I do, and it is possible. They always say it's based on the lip sync, but it's also a little bit like, you know, she just kind of got an idea and just went out there and did something, which is really ballsy for the talent show, but it was a risk and I don't think it worked. So I'm okay with overall Ryan going home. I really hope to see them next season or something like that, or come back. I thought they were super interesting. And then that's about it. I watched the Untucked, and it was kind of all the same stuff. And they did like the whole like, hey Willow, I'm sorry, you know. I like everyone so far. I don't have any like immediate, I was really surprised to see people on Twitter like already really being like, I really hate this queen. I was like, whoa, settle down. I thought everyone was lovely. The only thing was, it looked like June Jambalaya got really kind of upset that people said she was in the bottom. And I think there's a difference between like, I think you should be in the bottom because you suck, and like, we were all there, we all heard the critiques, we all saw it, and it sure looked like the judges didn't like, you know, had these three on the bottom, you know, or these two on the bottom. That was to me kind of what I saw. So when it was like, you know, and then everyone no wants to go home, and it makes me really sad, and everyone's talking about their feelings and doing well and all that. So it was pretty, to me it was a pretty low drama, just good starter episode. Like, that's what it is. So anyway, hit me up in the comments, tell me if you feel the same, wildly disagree, or whatever. Bye.